Welcome to Illuminati Silver. We tell you the truth about silver. Today is Friday the 29th of November 2019. And on Wednesday we produced a video entitled $100 Silver and Silver Supply Squeeze Coming Soon. And then yesterday a video entitled Is There Really a Silver Supply Squeeze Developing? The details and links of which we have placed in the description box below. So today we are going to talk about how feasible $100 silver could be in the foreseeable future. Now before we do that, let's look as to why it's even a question in the first place and how we came across $100 silver. Take a look at this Google search. You may find it of interest. So let's type into Google $100 silver. And this is what comes up. Silver prices. How high will they go? $100, $300, $500. www.money.com. Dated 18th of October 2019. $100 silver has come and gone. The Market Oracle. 16th of October 2019. Silver above $100. Here's why it could happen. Kitco News. 17th of September 2019. Let's go back a bit. Due to rising demand, silver could eclipse $100 per ounce. prnewswire.com, 9th of June 2017, some 2 years ago. Silver price to surge to over $100 an ounce on global technological. Let's click on that. Gadget demand, 1st of June. I'm assuming it's 2019. Forget about whether $100 silver is possible. How about, let's have a look at this, $1,000. Wow. Published 10th of August 2015. $1,000 silver. Ah, dear. Will silver ever hit $100? Coin Community Forum. 18th of September 2016. Oh, that's our article. $100 silver and silver supply squeeze coming soon? Question mark. Please note the question mark. Backyard bullion a year ago. Why $100 silver in 2018 will never happen. You were right, Backyard. But we know you also listen to our videos, which is good, because at least you come out with some sensible comments, which is more than be said for a lot of other people. Silver in the future. $130 an ounce. 14th of October 2019. Ah, Keith Neumeyer of First Majestic Silver. Let's just take a quick look at this. Silver has made significant gains in the past but has not risen past $20 per ounce since 2016. Nonetheless, well-known figure Keith Neumeyer, CEO of First Majestic Silver, believes the white metal could reach the $130 level. Neumeyer, now this is not us saying this is Silver Investing News. Neumeyer has voiced this opinion many times, giving the $130 figure or number in a November 2017 interview with Palisade Research, and again in March 2018 with Kitco. In the past, he's been even more bold, suggesting the white metal could reach $1,000. Let's look at this just a little bit more. For the simple reason is that it is Keith Neumeyer who is the one that a lot of people do actually listen to. Silver in the future. Why $130? There's a significant distance for the silver price to go before it reaches the success Neumeyer has boldly predicted. In fact, in order for the precious metal to jump to $130, its price would have to increase by close to 8 times its current value. Neumeyer sees $130 silver in the cards in part because he believes the current market compares to the year 2000, when investors were sailing high on the dot-com bubble and the mining sector was down. The First Majestic Silver CEO thinks it's only a matter of time before the market corrects, like it did in 2001 and 2002, and mining sees a big rebound in pricing. It was during this time that Neumeyer himself invested heavily in mining stocks and came out on top. Yes, he did then. The First Majestic Silver CEO has also stated that while times have been tough in the mining sector since 2012, many companies have since recovered. He believes investors will see increasing production as cash flows increases. Hold on, what about this silver squeeze we discussed yesterday? And technology infuses the mining sector. Neumeyer also anticipates a steady increasing mining efficiency over the next 10 years, which will be reflected in the value of silver. So if the mining increases the efficiency, that means it becomes cheaper to take it out of the ground. Surely, isn't that more likely to have a downward pressure on silver because more can be mined? More controversially, Neumeyer believes the white metal should be uncoupled from gold and should be seen as a strategic metal. He believes this, right? Due to its necessity in many everyday appliances, from computers to electronics to solar panels. He's also stated that silver production has gone down in recent years, meaning that contrary to popular belief, the metal is actually a rare commodity. No, it is not a rare commodity. We discussed this yesterday in the silver squeeze. Yes, there is mining has gone down for 3 or 4 years, relatively small amounts, leading in a deficit. And we saw this, I'm going from the top of my head, of something like 100, at worst case, 136 million ounces, the last year at 80 million. And we've already pointed out there is over 1 billion to 2 billion ounces readily available. According to Neumeyer, we're consuming as a human race over 1 billion ounces of silver annually. Our miners are only producing about 800 million a year, and that's been dropping for 3 consecutive years. Yes. But he also doesn't mention recycling, which has increased. And then the article goes on. We're not investigating just this article, but it's Keith Neumeyer, who's the one that many people have quoted to us. David Morgan. Silver to 100 and gold to 5 by 2018. Or look, Palisade Radio again. Now this is where all the pumpers congregate. If you tell me any name that has been on Palisade Radio, I would be 99% certain that it's a pumper. Because for years, Palisade Radio has been telling us gold and silver has been going to the moon. Here we go. 2017 in September, David Morgan, Silver Guru, the one whose books everyone buys and reads, and we read it too, to be fair. Silver to 100 gold by 2018 or 2019. And I have no doubt if I actually search the archives, we'll see David Morgan in 2018 saying, in 2019 or 20, and now in 2019 we're saying, oh, in 2020 it'll be $100. David is excited about the future of silver. I have a lot tied to this sector. You do, David. You do. Your entire career is tied to this sector. We've been following you for the last 5 years, David, where each time you've talked silver up and each time it dropped. until in the end you yourself admitted on a number of occasions, well, yes, I haven't always got it right. And this is where David's argument, which has some validity and fairness, is based. He says, David discusses what the true price of gold should be in comparison to the M1 money supply and how it has changed over the years. By 2020, he expects we could see $100 for silver and $7,500 for gold, and why it will likely go beyond fair value. Oh, says 100 or 5,000 by 2018-19. Now it's by 2020 and 7,500 for gold. Okay. Why are we showing you this? Because this is why we're being asked the question, or we're addressing the question, $100. Everywhere you look. $100 silver, yes, but when? The deviant investor, far back as 8th of November 2012. That was interesting. There are many predictions for the price of silver. Some say it will crash to nearly $20, and others proclaim $100 by the end of 2012. I think we better have a look later at those who predicted the crash to $20, because even they were too bullish. Okay, so we've ascertained that $100 is a good place to start, as it has often been heralded as the key price, and Keith Neumeyer has quoted $100 many times, and as we've just seen, 130. Others have quoted even more, including Bix Weir, who on his road to Roota has given the argument in favour of $100,000 silver. So, when in the past someone has mentioned to me that they believe an investment is going to reach a certain level, the first thing I do is take a look at its current price, its recent trend, and its all-time high. So let's take a brief look at silver. So here we are on the Bullion by Post website. As you can see, the time is 1918 GMT, 29th of November 2019. The dollar price of gold is 14.63 and of silver is 17.02. So let's take a quick look at silver over the last week so far in dollar terms. And as you can see, it started the week at 17.01. It's currently 17.02. It's been as low as 16.82 and as high as 17.12. Whether this price will change that dramatically now, we doubt very much. It might maybe 1 or 2 cents, unless there is some announcement, but it'll have to probably now be political rather than economic, because there's very little economic news coming out today. So we can see the silver price is nowhere near $100 in the last week. So let's look at the last month. And we can see here that in the last month, silver in US dollar terms has been as high as 18.22. Okay, I could go through each of these, but let's save some time. Over the last year, 1930. The last 3 years, 1930. 5 years, $20.71. 10 years, $48.70. That's, I think, the closing price. It has been higher during the course of the day, but that's essentially, I think I'm right in saying, the closing price. 15 years, $48.70. 20 years, $48.70. 25 years, $48.70. 35 years, $48.70. Well, actually, I think this just goes back to 1985. Let me click all time and we can see how far back it does go. No, it goes back to 70. And there we go, we have 49.45. And I think that was back. Actually, it's not closing price, it is intraday price as well. So that's 18th of January 1980. So almost $50 in 1980. The next time it came anywhere near close was April 28th, 2011, some 31 years later. So where does this $100 come from? Silver has never been $100. That's not strictly true in real terms, and we'll explain that again now. Okay, so what we're doing now is to go to the trusty US inflation calculator. For those who wish to use this, it's called usinflationcalculator.com. And we type in 2011, which is when silver was last close to $50. It was less than that, it was 49 or just under. But we'll put in $50 because it's a nice round number. And we say that in 2011, something you purchased for $50 today would be worth, allowing for inflation, here we go, $57.20. Still nowhere near $100. Now this is where we're going to give some ground. After all, we tell the truth about silver, and we're not here to mislead. We'll type in 1980, when silver was last $50. Click calculate, and now we see $156.16. That would be the price of silver today to equate to the $50 figure that it was in 1980. So we hear you say, so it's not beyond the possibility that silver could theoretically reach in excess of $100. And we would have to say, no, it's not beyond the realms of possibility or probability. It's not beyond the realms for it to reach 1,000 or 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000 or 1,000,000,000,000. The question is, what's the likelihood? The reason we discount the 1980 $50 figure, though, is simply because it was the time of the Hunt brothers' manipulation of silver, where they basically cornered the silver market and manipulated its price to this artificial level, which it did not stay anywhere near shortly after this was revealed. Let me go back again to bullion by post. Type in 40 years. You will see you had silver close to $50, and then it just dropped here all the way down to 12 in less than 6 months. It was an artificial market. It did, however, come back up in 2011 to $50 and then dropped again to below 14. That was in a few years, but if I said 6 months, dropped to $40 and then gradually descended. Now this is why many, particularly conspiracy theorists and certainly the pumpers, have made so much about JP Morgan trying to corner the silver market. They're trying to akin JP Morgan to the Hunter brothers, manipulating the price of silver down so that they can amass the same sort of levels of silver or more that the Hunt brothers did, and then they will stop their downward trades, resulting in the silver price shooting back up to the equivalent of $50 then, which, as we've already seen on the inflation calculator, would be $156 today. And that is essentially one of the core reasons, we believe false reasons, but one of the core reasons this figure in excess of $100 is quoted. Now, you may recall that in yesterday's video we showed you the silver supply and demand figures as published by the Silver Institute. And you can see that broadly, and I use that term broadly, total supply of silver for 2018 was just over 1 billion ounces, and the total demand was 1,033,000,000, leaving an ultimate deficit of 80 million ounces. The average price of silver at the time was $15.71. At our worst position in terms of deficit was 2016, where total supply was 1,025,000,000, demand was 1,030,000,000, but then when you allowed for inventory build and exchange inventory build, there was a deficit of 133 million ounces, or 134 really. But that was when the average price of silver was $17.14. Sorry, there is a worst one, I've just noticed it. And that was in 2013, where the deficit was 147.9. And the average price of silver was $23.79. The highest average was 2011, and that's when, of course, as we know, silver touched just under $50 at $35. So you have to ask yourself a very simple question. If, since the crash of 2008, silver, the average price of silver at the highest has been $35, average price, with the highest peak price of just shy of $50. Why should we see $100 silver imminently? Remember the articles we showed you, or the headlines in 2017 or in 16? Silver was going to go to $100 in 17, $100 in 18, $100 in 19, and we know the price is $17, $100 in 20. What has to happen for that to be realized? We'll address this in a second. We have now looked at the historic perspective, and the only guide we have historically to $100 silver is when the Hunt brothers manipulated the silver market back in 1980. And that will be the price of silver today, $156, if it were to reach the same height as it did then at $50. Now, we've seen since then far more modest silver prices. And frankly, this should not be a surprise, bearing in mind that supply versus demand operates, although not in parity, in relative close approximation of one another. The only event or events we can foresee allowing silver to rise to $100 in the near future, and we're not talking 10 years away, we mean in the next couple of years, is either a major geopolitical incident, such as a declaration of war, and even then it would have to be with a powerful country, or a major financial or economic collapse. Now, Iran is a potential issue. And the various conflicts with China are also an issue, but we don't really envisage a physical war with China. An economic, banking or monetary collapse is really the only shirt tail that the pumpers can rely on to see silver reach that $100 level. It's not going to happen due to industrial demand, certainly not in the next few years. As the world economy is declining, not expanding, or at least not expanding at sufficient levels to justify such a move or hike in prices. So we need an economic collapse. And as far as the United States is concerned, we've already covered high employment levels, rising wages, albeit small, and an uptick in GDP growth to just over 2% this last quarter in previous videos. So for silver to rise to $100, I'm working on gold having a gold to silver ratio of around 80-1, although it's higher than that at the moment. We need to see gold rise to $8,600. And then quite possibly, silver may catch up as gold becomes too expensive for normal investors to acquire it in quantity, and so they revert to silver. Now this video is becoming too long, and we could look at derivatives, global debt, money supply, etc., to show various comparisons and what would happen to those to allow silver to rise to $100. But simply ask yourself this question. Is there any logical reason to see $100 silver during the next couple of years unless equity markets plummet or bond markets collapse or there is a major devaluation of the US dollar? And if it's the latter case, the major devaluation of the US dollar, that causes silver to rise to $100, then you could also be looking at WTI crude rising to $300 to $400 a barrel, and other goods in the shops rise by a factor of around 6-1. That is not going to happen in our view, and from our assessments we are nowhere near the economic dire straits that would necessitate such a move. Now, we could actually have shown you some technical analysis charts which also suggest that silver is very unlikely to reach this $100 level. But we're very conscious that this video is already now close to 30 minutes long. Needless to say, there are various trend lines which could push silver up close to its all-time previous high. But a number of mitigating factors have to occur to achieve that. And we shall keep that separate for another video, as we think it will have A, more impact, and B, more meaning then. Thank you for listening. Do share your thoughts, whether you agree with us or not. And finally, tomorrow evening, just to notify you, we are participating in a question and answer session live on our Discord channel. And we've placed a link to the video highlighting how you can register for that if you haven't already done so. We hope you have found this video interesting and informative, and if so, please give it a thumbs up and share it on social media. Please ensure that you have subscribed to our channel and press the bell sign so that you are notified of any future videos. Also, kindly visit our website at illuminatisilver.com, and if you haven't already done so, please subscribe either as a free or paying member for regular email updates and offers. Disclaimer: Illuminati Silver owners come from a background of banking, international wealth management and economics. Having now retired from these worlds, we are not qualified to give investment advice. Therefore, this and other productions must not be deemed to be giving such advice and merely represent the personal views of its owners.